Welcome to the BX Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Fowler, and we have another exceptional guest to share their insights and area of expertise with you on the show. Now, just before we jump into the episode, make sure you tap that follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app to get more BX Podcast episodes right there in your pocket. Now, if you would like to find out more about BX and attend a meeting either in person or online, head over to bxnetworking.com/locations. That's bxnetworking.com/locations.
Welcome back to Season 3 of the BX Podcast. We are back again for 2024. We're going to be sharing so many amazing insights, members, and definitely BX experts coming onto the podcast who are going to share their experience, their knowledge, their insights with you to really show you just how possible it is to build that business that really inspires you. Now, to kick off Season 3, I've asked the CEO and founder of BX himself, Mr. Matt Alderton, to come on and share with us a little bit about where the BX network is now, because there's been so much that's happened in 2023 and so much more to happen in 2024. So, Matt, welcome to the BX Podcast.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. So good to be here and good to catch up with you as well. Always like having a bit of a yarn before we get on the show and catching up. I also want to say congratulations, mate. I think you have done the most sensational job hosting our podcast. Some of the guests you've had through the podcast last year and your interview style and everything. Just you've done a fantastic effort, and you're making us all proud and doing the BX brand, that's absolute just dessert. So, mate, thank you so much for your contribution to the BX podcast as well. I should definitely make sure that everyone knows that Ryan doesn't just do this for BX. He actually has a business and he hosts podcasts. He trains people how to do podcasts and all sorts of stuff. So if you want any help with your podcast, you should speak to this man as well. So he didn't know I was going to do a little shameless.
I had no idea that I was going to get a shout out. But I've gone red and it's not from the laughing before we started recording.
Because, Ryan, we've had some amazing guests through the BX podcast last year. Like, obviously, we had a ton of members who, there's a bit of a waiting list for members of months, I think, to get on the podcast. We're pumping them out so fast. We've had obviously our BX experts that serve the BX network, and we've had, a great amount of those come through the network. But we had people like, we had Mike McAllowitz on the show last year, and that was
an incredible conversation. Sorry, I just have to interject there because the conversation with Mike and the openness and the flow that he had and the kind of the banter that we had going as well, it really made for such a powerful episode and added even more to the BX Exponential Conference content that he did for BX as well, which was really amazing.
Of course, if you're up on the Gold Coast in October 23, we did have BX Exponential and had, there's about 12 incredible keynote speakers from David Koch, Terry Hawkins, Mike McAllowitz, Joe Parnay. We had heaps of people. So it was just phenomenal. It was an absolute onslaught of amazing talent. And when I reached out to all these people, I thought to myself, maybe half of them will be available. And every single person we asked was available, which meant that we had this massive lineup of speakers over a few days. And the feedback has been phenomenal. But it's good to get those people back on the podcast and to share that little bit more depth in terms of their content, education, and story and that as well. And we had some phenomenal podcasts last year where that happened. So if you haven't, if this is the first time you've tuned in or you've only caught a few episodes here and there, go back through and make sure that you check out some of these phenomenal podcast episodes from 23 and beyond as well. Because I think we must be over 100 episodes by now.
I don't think we've hit that 100 mark just yet. I think we're sitting about the 60 to 70 mark.
60 to 70
off the top of my head. So 2024 will be the year that we hit the 100.
Amazing.
That'll be a milestone. I think you and I have to do a 100th episode.
We'll have to do the century together. Let's make sure that's the case. And I think with the lineup and things like that we're going to have a whole bunch of phenomenal speakers coming onto our podcast as well. And the great thing is we've got the US and Canada really taking traction at the moment. which means that we'll be sourcing some speakers from overseas as well. So obviously we had Mike and we've had a few internationals, but the more partners we get internationally, the more people we'll be able to get to share on our show as well. So, getting a real cross-section from across the globe of content and education from those podcast speakers. So awesome. So exciting. The podcast is just getting rave reviews. So, hey, if you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, what the heck, man, get on that, press the button and make sure you subscribe and follow along, because we want to do justice to the people on the show and everybody that comes on the BX podcast. They're either at the top of their game or they're building their business. Either way, we want to honor the time and contribution they're making to all of us by subscribing, because the more people that subscribe, the more people that see and hear about our podcast, gets pushed up those ratings on Spotify and Apple, and therefore, we can get in front of more people, help more people, and help people build the business of their dreams to live the life they really deserve. And that's what we're all about at BX. Anyway, now
I can say, I just want to add to that.
Yeah,
I know some of the speakers and the guests that are coming up on the podcast in season 3, and having done, I'll give you a little insight, having done a couple of recordings already, I know how good these speakers are and these guests on the podcast, not just the experts who are incredible at what they do, like Matt said, but the members as well, and showing highlighting the expertise that is within the network is incredible as well. So much depth of knowledge within this BX network.
Brilliant. I love it. Actually, while it's top of mind, so I don't know if we're sharing the videos and stuff these days, but I'm sitting at home. I'm in my home office and casually dressed and having a bit of a chill day. Been on the road a couple of days this week, but last night was the Telstra Business Awards. So they were the national awards program honouring the state finalists and awarding the winners across the country in all the different categories. Phenomenal event. Like, Telstra don't spare any expense putting on an awards night. And
that would be incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I've got to say that the quality and standard of the winners and businesses being showcased at the awards program were phenomenal, which leads me to think about, you can now nominate already for the 2024 Telstra Business Awards. We've got a week left to enter the Australian Business Champion Awards. It's closing on the 15th, so that is 6 days' time, so just under a week. And it's plenty of time to get your application in, so jump onto the Australian Business Champion website, just Google that, it'll pop up, click on that, do your entry in there. If you're a member of BX, remember I've done, pretty juicy webinar on how to prepare your submission for that. If you're not a member of BX, then join, you can get access to that as well.
Yeah. It's definitely worth a watch. I have to say I've watched it a couple of times and I can make you blush now.
Yeah.
It is really good.
Awesome.
It does give so much insight into that judging process, because as I want to give people a bit of background just on this video quickly, is you're not just coming at this from a perspective of having entered and won a lot of business awards, but also as a judge of a lot of business awards as well. Not the BX awards, there's no bias in that, I understand that, but other awards, you're part of the judging process, and you can definitely tell that mindset and that process comes into the video of when you're sharing it. So you really got to listen to those details, and it's well worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I do highly encourage it. Given the amount of times I've judged the Australian Women in Business Awards, the Telstra Women in Business Awards, the Telstra Business Awards, the Australian Business Champion Awards, so having been involved in the voting process, the judging process with those awards programs, you just get a different perspective to being, in the trenches, actually entering the awards. And I've probably entered, 40, 50 odd awards, 60 awards. I don't know what it is. I know we've won over 40 different awards. So there's a different mindset to the entry process as a, competitor in the awards program to actually reviewing it and using the criteria to judge it. And so I give you my mindset as a judge, and I share that with you in this. So as well, it just gives you a different perspective and helps you frame up how you present your answers and things like that as well. So, if you're going to enter any awards program, worth listening to that webinar as well. But so the Australian Business Champions is open for another 6 days, and the BX Business Excellence Awards, I can't believe we're kicking off again for another year. Feels like we just finished them. But that starts the beginning of March, so keep an eye out on that. But they're open to anybody that's invited. So you can consider this your invitation into the awards program. So they're not open as a general rule of thumb to anybody that just wants to enter, but anybody that's been invited to become part of it. So if you're part of our community in any way, that community is through extension, through our members and the people they invite, through our partners and who they invite, and through anybody that, shares in and listens to our podcasts, our webinars, and are members of BX and all that stuff. So any way that you're connected to BX, you're welcome to be part of that. And we are all about showcasing and highlighting great businesses from across the network. Whether you become a finalist or whether you actually win, don't worry about the distinction between the two. The value is the credibility that's built off the back of being a nominee, a finalist, or a winner in the awards program. All of it has value. So yeah, definitely recommend getting in those. There's 2 programs you can get into, and you can nominate the Telstra Awards already. So pretty exciting. Awards season has officially begun. Actually, what's the other? The local business awards. So if you're in New South Wales, the ACT, those awards programs are all opening up as well. So there's another submission you can do. The great thing about the locals are that the submission for that, all the questions are exactly the same as the questions that are in the Australian Business Champions. And there's a lot of similarity to that and the BX Awards as well, the Business Excellence Awards. So you can use those answers across multiple awards and therefore save yourself the time of writing multiple entries. You're able to use that content across those multiple submissions, which is pretty cool. So make sure you do that. Now, just the last thing on the awards, Ryan, you had no idea we're talking about awards today, but just
nope. Our conversations are sporadic.
That's right. We're gonna have to get this podcast out pretty quick now because I've put some dates in here. But I tell you what, we together with Precedent Productions, and Precedent Productions are the guys that run the Australian Business Champions and the local business awards programs. They run almost 40 award programs a year, which is a pretty phenomenal amount of awards programs across New South Wales, ACT, and the Australian awards, which are run based in Sydney, but they're a national award program. They, together with BX, we're taking that into Melbourne and into the Gold Coast and Brisbane in 2024. So those programs will kick off later this year. So that's the first time they've ventured out of New South Wales, except when I convinced them that the ACT should definitely be on the list there as well. And we started that in 2018, I think we kicked off in Canberra. 2018, 2019 kicked off in Canberra because that's where BX was back then, only in New South Wales and ACT. But we've been on their case and COVID stopped that. But now we're like, let's do this. Let's get ourselves into Victoria and Queensland, and then we'll move in 25 into Adelaide and Perth as well, and get those programs started, which just gives you access. Like they're a really great place to start entering awards, and they're very highly regarded across New South Wales and ACT. So you'll find that you get, and you can see through those awards programs in those places, the amount of notoriety and PR that you get off the back of it's huge. So that'll follow in those new states as well. Anyway, what else is happening, Ryan?
That was my next question to you, because let's just carry this over from the awards, because at the awards, the charity of the year was announced.
Yes, it was.
Which is member chosen each year through the awards process. And this year it was, again, Destiny Rescue, which is awesome. Mark Nuss, a past guest on here, I think he's episode 13 of the podcast. He was early on, but the conversation that he and I had is so powerful. And Matt, I'm not sure if you've listened to that one, but I got a lot of feedback. Kind of
episode, that one.
Yeah, I got a lot of feedback. Grab your tissues for it, but it's so powerful, the work that they do. And if you want to understand more about that charity of choice, then that is the episode to go and watch. Mark is an incredible speaker, incredible guest. He's so open and humble about the work that they do, but it's incredibly valuable. So I wanted to just mention that as charity of the year, and I know Mark will probably be cheering as he hears this as well. But tell me about BX. What's happened in 2023, and what are we looking forward to for 2024?
So 23 was a really big year for us. Lots happened, and I think it was really just the getting ourselves prepared for 24. I think 23 was, and we had a couple of really big things happen. We had, a reasonable amount of growth, given I think there was still a bit of a lag of COVID hanging over, people, and just, a bit of uncertainty. That has certainly gone now. The energy in 24 is phenomenal. I walk into rooms now and there's a different energy in the rooms. It's like people have recovered from this illness, and they've I use that word illness, and they're ready to start again. So they've just waited for sort of things to subside, and that took a lot longer than I think we all thought it would.
Absolutely.
But the vibe in 24 is huge. I think one of the highlights of 23 was our conference and awards night on the Gold Coast. People I have not received so many positive statements and emails and things like that from about any other thing that we've ever done. And that was amazing. I think I hugged like 1,000 people over 3 days. It was like everybody came up, oh my God, I just want to thank you. And just like hug. So it was like a hug fest up there. It was crazy. You guys on Queensland, but that was actually people from across Australia. We had a great contingent from WA come across from the conference, from Sydney, from Melbourne, from Adelaide. And we even had some of our people from the US come across as well. And our international speakers. So it was a great event. And then, icing on the cake was the presentation and evening and gala dinner at the Star on the Gold Coast. That was amazing, with Hayley Jensen as our vocalist and singer and presenter on the night. We had, just phenomenal. We had, Koshi was there, and we had great speakers and people, VIPs hanging out with people on the night as well. It was really cool. So it was heaps of fun. It was fantastic. That kind of wore us all out for the end of the year. I think we went, that's no worries. Let's get ready for 24 now. And this year is crazy because we've decided that we're going to get back on our launch phase for new groups. We've had a reasonable amount of launches happening internationally and in new regions, new countries. So Dubai, Canada, we've had, US continue to grow. As 3 key areas. We've got India as a strong possibility this year, and possibly Singapore as well. But I really wanted to focus in on what was happening locally as well. And we had about 15 new groups open in 23 across Australia and New Zealand. And with our team restructuring and some new people kicking off this year, when we came together, we said, what do we want to do? And they said, well, we have got so many new team members putting their hands up for new regions. We want to, we've got to get a strong slate of launches happening. So the number at the moment is sitting around 70 to 80 new groups for this year, as opposed to 15 last year. And that's a pretty hectic schedule of new
That's
new
a lot of launches.
Yeah. We've got over 20 launches just in February and March. Happening. So it's going to be a massive schedule of new groups and new regions. And even though there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 new groups in the existing regions, it's really the expansion, like connecting the states. It's like, for example, we've got a Newcastle group, and I know you're a local Novocastrian. So you obviously grew up in Newcastle. We've got nothing then till basically Tweed, Coolangatta. So there's like 6 hours drive between those 2 places.
My current home now.
Yeah, there you go. So we know that between those 2 places, there's some pretty major commercial centres: Port Stephens, Port Macquarie, Ballina, Byron Bay, just to name a couple of those. And we've got people in all those places who are saying, hey, how do we open a BX? And we're like, well, this is the process for it. So we pulled our wisdom, we put together this our launch resources info hub, and now we've got like this structured process, formulaic launch process, which is pretty exciting. And the only thing stopping us from launching new groups is finding wonderful people to launch them with. So if you're listening along and there's not a BX around you, but you'd like to find out more about that, you should definitely reach out to us and we can send you some information about that. The roles go from, team get our Diamond membership complimentary as part of, they get an upgrade to Diamond free as part of what we do for team. Some of our other roles are remunerated. We've got commissioned team and that as well. So there's some pretty great opportunities backed by an award-winning system. I can throw that in there now as well. An award-winning system that shows people how to take their network and then turn it into a valuable resource for all the community that they're working with. And it's pretty exciting to be able to do that across, up the New South Wales coast is one, but we're doing that up the Queensland coast as well, and down the WA coast, and branching out across Adelaide, across Victoria. So it's pretty exciting. We just got to get ourselves into the Northern Territory. So if you're a Northern Territorian, hey, reach out, let us know, because we would love to get some groups into NT and Tassie as well. We've got a couple of people. We're looking for some people across those regions there as well. And hey, you might just be, a member, not just, you might be a member in, Brisbane or Melbourne or whatever. If you know business owners in other places, just let them know about it. Might be they want to launch something in their particular area as well. We're certainly keen to get the BX brand entrenched across the country, and we'll be, a couple of hundred groups or thereabouts by the end of the year. So it changes our whole, just the value proposition for our members when we've got so many local groups, even if they're regional. And, Sydney Siders and Brisbane Siders and Gold Coast have been very lucky. They've got, a massive choice of locations to go to, like all within QE of each other. But some of those regional groups, they have to drive hours to get to a BX. We want to change that. We want BX everywhere for everyone. Yeah.
And that opportunity of having so many different groups in every place is, if you travel as part of your business, if you travel for work, then you've got an opportunity to go and network with new people. You take your network there and bring that network back, which is something I found really valuable, having been to Sydney and Melbourne and wherever else that I travel to at certain times. I've always got an opportunity to go and connect with new people, introduce people to new people, and they introduce me to their network, and it's really helped expand my contacts and the network and the communication that I have with people all over the country.
Yeah, it's actually quite, and it's something I really didn't envisage from I just didn't really imagine how this would work. It never really crossed my mind, but so many people have said to me over the last probably 12 to 18 months, they've moved to a different location. So they haven't just gone traveling. I get the travel thing because I do that a lot as well. And it's, great to be able to do the crossover when you go to somewhere else, rock into a BX and feel like you're at home. But I realized from talking to people that it's even more powerful than that. Many people relocate, especially over the last few years since COVID, people have done a lot of relocation. So to rock up in a new town or suburb and not have family and friends in that suburb, but be able to walk into a BX meeting and feel like you're with your family and friends, it's quite an incredible thing to have that community of people who instantly accept you and almost know you. And a lot of the time, there's already people they know there because they've met them through some of our online events as well. It's freaking awesome. It's just so nice. It feels like you got family across the country and across the globe even, that you can tap into, connect with, meet up with, catch up with, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I've experienced that a few times, especially the online meetings, seen quite a few people or been back and forth with emails, introduced to somebody, and then you walk into a meeting and go, oh my God, it's you. You're here. Hello. It's like, you're actually real. You're more than just head and shoulders. You're actually flesh and bone. With so much happening, I want to ask you on a more personal level, is there something this year that you're really looking forward to? Something that really excites you?
Well, there you go. So you didn't know.
There's a throw a bone in and see what happens.
To be honest, I think what excites me from a business perspective, what's actually exciting to me is I feel like we've had a lot of international expansion. I've built a great team of people supporting that international expansion, which has now created an opportunity for me to focus in a lot more personally from at home and focus in on the growth we've got at home. But there's no way we could launch 70, 80 groups at home without the team that we've got. So I think that personally, I feel so, blessed to have the people like Denise, who's now our group operations manager for ANZ, and our amazing territory executives and state ops managers across Australia, New Zealand. Of course, our chief operating officer based out of Michigan. These people are phenomenal, and you can't do what you do without them doing what they do. But I'm just keen to I feel like we kind of grew up at the conference last year. I think the conference was a point where people went, oh, yeah, okay, BX is, we get that it's reimagined. We get now that, you're not just another networking group. It's so much more. And I think people recognize that. And it felt like we came of age. And then I feel like that also allowed us to sort of come of age as well as the people in the company. And I think that it's changed the way we sort of act in the company as well. So I feel like that was a real, cathartic kind of evolution for us over the past little while. And it's made us have a different thought process through how we run the business and how we build the business and that as well. But from a personal perspective, what I'm looking forward to from a personal perspective this year, I've got a bunch of holidays booked this year and nothing, crazy out there holiday-wise, but, I've got my normal trip down the South Coast over Easter and the school holidays. I've got we booked actually a 4-week trip. We're going to Alice Springs. We're going to travel north. We're a caravanning family in Australia. Many Australians are. We've got a 22-foot caravan, so we go travel quite a lot. And we've got a 4-week trip later this year. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. We're supposed to do it in 2019, but we had a car accident and someone ran into us and rode off the car. And then simultaneously, I also broke my foot. I don't know, some of you might remember that when I was traveling up to the Gold Coast with a broken foot for literally 6 months when we launched up there in 2019. So we had to cancel that holiday. We're literally back on the cards for this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, which is pretty cool. And the other thing that I'm really excited about is our expanding our team through our office in the Philippines. So we've got a serviced office in the Philippines now. We're recruiting locally, and they're all working as part of the office in the Philippines. And so I'm traveling to the Philippines in May to spend time with our team and our supervisors and that to catch up with them and that. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be my first trip to the Philippines. So yeah, some exciting times and lots to look forward to this year.
That'll be awesome. A great trip to go and see the team that's been building there and meet everybody. That'll be a very rewarding experience. I feel
really
like.
Can't wait actually. Because literally you do see those, everyone you talk to on Zoom, you see them every now and again face to face, generally speaking. But my team, many of them that I've had for many, many years, I've never met in the flesh. And so it's going to be wonderful to catch up with them and, check out the new office and stuff like that as well.
That'll be awesome. And just before we wrap up, how's your travel schedule looking for the early part of this year? Because I know it's something that a lot of people are excited about to see if you're going to be in their region.
Well, it's looking pretty hectic. I definitely made a decision this year to try and reduce the amount of travel that I do. One from a carbon footprint sort of element there as well. You don't want to be flying unnecessarily. There's a cost to the environment for that, but also a cost to the business for that. So I've cut, and I've been able to do this because I've got a phenomenal team in North America as well. This really helps. So I've got only 3 trips booked for North America this year, down from 5 from the past. I did 5 last year, 5 the year before that. So pretty hectic. 5 internationals. So then I've got, but I'm doing a trip every week, basically. I'm in a region every week. So I was in Sydney this week. I did a couple of regions. Sydney and Gosford I did this week. But then next week I'm up to Cairns. So I've got the Palm Cove meeting up in Cairns next Friday. I've got, that will take me to South Brisbane then the week after that. So I've got the South Brizzy breakfast. And then the week after that, I'm in Perth. So that takes me to the end of Feb. My diary's done till the end of May. So I know where I am. My flights are booked and all my teams know where I am. But I've got 3 weeks in the US after that. So actually, I'm pretty excited. I'm going to spend some time with John Maxwell for his conference. And so I'm also a founding member of the John Maxwell program. Back in 2013, I started the John Maxwell program. Actually, what does that make me? 11 years this year. So part of that program, and I've got some exciting stuff delivering to our members across from that as well. So I'll let members and team. So part of what we've done there is our team will now get access to like an incredible amount of content that they can use and share and work with as part of my team in BX. They will get access to our corporate package of John Maxwell material, which is pretty cool.
That'll be pretty special.
We're going to be launching that at our conference for our team next week. And then we've got what else is happening? And Diamond membership kicked off in October last year, which is another exciting thing. That has been, I can't believe how many people signed up to that. I think we're at about maybe close to 170 Diamond members now, 170 Diamond members across the network. That has really been a kind of surprise how fast that's taken off, which obviously includes Diamond dinners every month, our Diamond conferences. We got 3 or 4 of those a year. Includes your local meeting attendance and fee for your brekkie or lunch or dinner. So it's pretty exciting. And then we kick off in March. We kick off our exclusive membership, which is that top tier, and we expect that we might have 30 or so % of the Diamond, or I don't know, it's could grow well beyond 30%, but I'm expecting it to get to about 30% this year. But exclusive, maybe 5% of the network will be an exclusive, and that's a lot more. We do like a dinner with me once a year, some mentoring coaching options. We have a book writing event, a keynote speaking training event. We have we're partnering with a company. I can't tell you who it is yet because we're announcing it next week to the team. We'll be announcing it to the members in March, but we've partnered with a company who delivers a phenomenal program. It's a 3.5-day conference event. It's world renowned. It's across multiple countries. And you know who it is, so don't say anything, Ryan, because you've already worked it out just now.
Yeah.
and we're just.
I think I've done the program, and you may very well. The one I'm thinking of, then it's incredible.
So nuts and bolts just being locked in at the moment, but that looks like that will be included in the exclusive membership as well. Plus Dale Beaumont, as you know, runs Business Blueprint. We're going to include a lot of Dale's stuff in there as well. So it is a stacked up program, the exclusive, and we know that but it'll have a price tag to match as well. So it'll end up having those people that are ready for it that take it up, and we'll be pretty excited to be working with those people as well. So yeah, so who knows? The founders dinner, we're calling it, which we'll do once a year. Depending on the number of people, we might do it state-based or do it as one big event or whatever. So we'll work that out, but that's going to be pretty exciting as well. But Diamond, find out about Diamond because if you remember, I think we've got a special offer for you guys right now where it is probably about 50% of the price that it will be in the next couple of months. So it is going up because we continue to add so much value into it from the launch. When exclusive launches, we'll be propping that price up as well. So if you want to jump on it, do so before the price goes up because you don't want to be paying more for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, Diamond is a very incredible value proposition. I totally get that. And it's exciting to hear what's coming with exclusive as well.
Yeah.
Matt, we will wrap this up here, but I just want to say thank you for being on the BX podcast for the launch of season 3. It's great to have these conversations. I know we're going to have a few more as the year goes on.
Yeah.
We'll fit that into your schedule somewhere, but it'll be great when we get to our 100th episode as well, which will be coming very soon. So thank you again for being on the BX podcast.
Absolute pleasure. And I want to just close it out with that one goal that my team set for me this year is to get on TikTok. And so I have my own TikTok profile now. We're loading content to it. I'm committing to videos every day. And it's a raw, authentic look behind the scenes of Matt and BX. And so if you're on TikTok, jump on and follow, please, so that we can build that list up there and help as many people as possible. But anyway, thanks again. So good to be with you, Ryan.
Pleasure. We'll link that in the show notes as well so people can find you. Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
That wraps it up for today's episode of the BX podcast. You can get more of the show by simply tapping the follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. To join us at a live and in-person or online event, head over to bxnetworking.com/locations. That's bxnetworking.com/locations locations to find a meeting near you. We look forward to talking to you next time on the BX Podcast.